Arsenal have just scored 5 goals away from home for the second time this week. In the last 7 days, that's 13 goals scored by Arsenal. And today, they were simply sensational. A huge performance from them and a massive statement ahead of that Liverpool versus Manchester City game tomorrow. The title race is well and truly back on. Bukayo Saka has said it himself. He has told us that Arsenal are back, and Mikel Arteta agrees. Mikel Arteta has said that Arsenal have that momentum again. A joyful day for Arsenal, a perfect day for Arsenal. They were simply sublime. And when you score 5 goals away from home for the second time in a week, having already played one of Europe's most dazzling teams in midweek, then you go away to a London derby and you score 5. You have 5 different goal scorers. There is only one thing that I can say. From Arsenal's perspective, that performance was simply a delectable medley of footballing splendour. That is how good it was. What a first half that was from Arsenal. They were sublime. They were sensational. They were ruthless. They were cutting. They were desperate to win. They had that edge. They had that element of nastiness that Arsenal have arguably been lacking for decades. You know the way Robert Pires had a real edge to his game. He was a glorious footballer, a beautiful footballer. On some level, some definition, a perfect footballer. But my God, he was spiteful. In the way that Dennis Bergkamp was incredibly spiteful, venomous, aggressive, as well as being an artist. Thierry Henry, a great example for this as well. He was venomous, aggressive, hungry, determined, but also poetry. This Arsenal team seems to have that, an edge, a little bit of snide, and it really could carry them so far because they were ruthless today. They were clever, they were cunning, and if you think about how they were, both from set pieces and during open play, Arsenal's performance was perfect. Okay, some will flag that maybe they conceded goals that they shouldn't have scored or whatever else, but ultimately, they were so good. 7 goals scored in that first half. It's the first time that has happened since Manchester United played Reading in 2012. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. You know when Emerson Palmieri scored that free kick? For one moment, I started thinking about what happened in 2011. I thought, oh my God, is there going to be a repeat of St James's Park when Arsenal's title hopes effectively ended that season because of a 4-4 draw at St James's Park? But this Arsenal team aren't like that one. This Arsenal team do not have that weak underbelly. They certainly know how to answer those problems. And Bukayo Saka's penalty immediately ended any hopes of a West Ham United fight back. If the score had been slightly different, if West Ham United had gone in only 2 goals down at half-time, maybe there could have been a rousing moment. Julian Lopetegui masterclass. No, forget that. But, maybe the team would have rallied, the fans would have rallied. But the Bukayo Saka penalty effectively ended that. And now we need to focus on the brilliance of Bukayo Saka. I mean, what a player he is. He is actually world-class. You know the conversation around, is Bukayo Saka world-class? Where does he rank in the pantheon of great players currently around at the moment? There is now no negotiation that Bukayo Saka is undoubtedly a world-class player. He has 18 goals and assists in 18 games this season. That's 3 assists on top of a penalty today. There is no stopping him. He was simply fantastic. And in the Premier League alone, this season, his assist tally now sits at 10. 10 assists already this season. Think about where we sit in the season. Think about where we are. Think about how many games have been played. And he has 10 assists. You know that incredible tally, that incredible record that the brilliant Kevin De Bruyne and Thierry Henry share? It's only 20. Bukayo Saka, there is a long way to go. I'm not suggesting that he's going to even do it. I'm just saying that the record is there. It is possible because we are not halfway through the season and he is at the halfway point of the record of assists in a season. When you start using Bukayo Saka's name and you start talking about records and the records are occupied by players such as Thierry Henry, Kevin De Bruyne, when your name is being mentioned alongside those icons, that makes you close to being an icon yourself. It makes you certainly world-class. And the story is still being written for Bukayo Saka. But this assist tally, when you think about what players do regarding assists, Thierry Henry, Kevin De Bruyne, Cesc Fabregas, Frank Lampard, whoever you want to say, Bukayo Saka's numbers are there. And the way that he's doing it, the craft in which he's doing it, the variety in which he's doing it, playing 1-2, getting to the byline, cutting it back, is one skill. Equally, It doesn't work. The brilliance of Nico Jova and Arsenal's penetration through set pieces, it doesn't work if you do not have expert delivery. And Bukayo Saka provides that as well. Now, look, Arsenal have not been at their best this season. They have actually relied on a slump by Manchester City to kind of offset their own slump. But they seem like they are now cooking on gas. It seems like they are doing very well. And yes, they haven't capitalised massively on the Manchester City blip, crisis, whatever you want to call it. Arsenal haven't asked enough questions around that, but they've won their last 2 league games, scoring 8 goals in the process, beating good teams. Doing what they did to Nottingham Forest last week is significant. You think about what Forest have already achieved this season. There is no doubt that Nuno Espirito Santo is a good manager. And the way that Arsenal dismantled that Forest team ahead of a big game away from home in Europe, it's always very difficult, in my opinion, to marry up domestic success with European success. And when you play a very difficult game away from home at the London Stadium in a London derby, when there is so much riding on it for the opposition, to go into that fixture off the back of a European fixture, you're never more likely in the Premier League to drop points in the Premier League than when you've just played away from home in Europe. It's true, it's science. Away from home in Europe, the following game, you are always more likely to drop points. So the fact that Arsenal have gone away to play one of the most brilliant teams in Europe, one of the form teams in Europe, in Sporting, in Lisbon, they have gone over there to play that fixture and they've absolutely trounced them. You then come back, you're never more likely, you're never more vulnerable, you're never more likely to drop points than this fixture. And look at the way that Arsenal opened up that fixture immediately. Look at the way that Arsenal took the game to West Ham immediately. Look at the way that they went for the jugular. And it really is exceptional what they are doing. So 8 goals in 2 games. They're back on form. They're back on rhythm. Bukayo Saka, as I said at the beginning of this video, has already announced that Arsenal are back. Mikel Arteta is in agreement. And the fact that they are so potent and so deadly from set pieces. Every single time a set piece was whipped into that West Ham box, it was sheer and utter panic. It was as if the West Ham United defence were at Disney World. They were at Disney World and they were on the Tower of Terror. You looked in their eyes. They were terrified. They did not know what to do. There was utter terror, utter panic, utter pandemonium. They didn't know who to mark. They didn't know where to run. They didn't know what to do. Antonio trying to pick up. It was just men against boys. And that is all because of diligence and desperation to succeed on the training pitch. That is what Nico Jova is instilling in this Arsenal team, and it is a sight to behold. To be that threatening from set pieces, I've never really known anything like it. And in Gabriel, they have a player who is prepared to put his head on anything. Gabriel will literally head out a Range Rover if you were to cross one into the box. He would literally head in a Range Rover if you were to cross one into the opposition box. That is what he will do. Did you see the way that he put his neck and his body on the line for that Fabianski punch to the jaw? Bravery. And at the beginning when I was talking about the edge that this Arsenal team have, when I was making the comparisons between players like Robert Pires and this team in previous years, you could argue that it was too nice. And not only this team, in fact, the previous team, the previous generation that never won anything. That decade under Wenger, the Flamini side. Flamini aside, it didn't have enough edge. Gabriel's got an edge. Saliba's got an edge. Ben White's got an edge. Declan Rice has got an edge. Maybe not enough of one, but he certainly has one. And even someone like Kai Havertz has got it. But Gabriel, I would say, he's the jewel in the crown of this edge, and he really, really is rugged and robust and a winner. And we saw him demonstrate it today. The way that Arsenal are so good at set pieces, they are capable. And look, they're pretty good from open play as well. So now it's job done for Arsenal. They are in an incredibly luxurious position. They can go home, they can put their feet up. If you're an Arsenal fan, tomorrow is a day of joy for you, because one way or another, your rivals are going to drop points. It is impossible for all of your rivals to succeed. One of Liverpool and Manchester City, if not both, will drop points. So if you're an Arsenal fan or an Arsenal player, you go home, you light up a cigar, you have a nice drop of scotch, and you watch that game, because one way or another, the weekend belongs to you. Unless something mega happens, the weekend will belong to you. Because I think from an Arsenal perspective, and this is very interesting because I think that most Arsenal fans disagree with me here, but I think that Arsenal need to hope that Manchester City win the game. Now, look, I've been speaking to a lot of Arsenal fans tonight. All of them are saying that they don't want that. Every Arsenal fan I've spoken to says that they either want a Liverpool win or a draw. But I truly believe that what Arsenal need is a Manchester City win. They need Manchester City to somehow put a dent in this form that Liverpool are on. Liverpool can't beat Man City and Real Madrid in the same week, in the space of 4 days. It would just be symbolic. It will inspire them. It will invigorate them. And they will go 9 points clear at the top of the table. That, for me, feels insurmountable. So I know Arsenal fans are disagreeing here, but I feel like a lot of you, and you'll have to be honest with me here, I feel like you're conditioned into believing that Manchester City are the enemy. Manchester City are the team that you need to worry about, and Manchester City are your challenger. I honestly don't think so. I think you need to watch that game tomorrow through the lens of being a City fan. Because if Liverpool drop points, suddenly wallop is a 3-horse race again. If Liverpool win, 9 points, regardless of how brilliant Arsenal look, 9 points just feels so huge. Because not only do you need to win 3 games, they need to lose. They don't look like losing ever. But I tell you what, it is exciting. And Arsenal, that was a devastating performance today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a like. Please click subscribe. And I look forward to seeing your thoughts in the comments section below. Have a wonderful evening. Cheers.